All right, everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. We are just got through the bye week, so here we are, ready to kick into the second half of the schedule. And I already have my compatriot Sean Williams on tonight. How you doing tonight, Sean?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How's everybody out there doing? We welcome you guys to the show, and I'm starting quick, Al.
Okay.
We got some big news that we're not going to tell you tonight.
Way to
We are
tease.
going.
Way to tease.
Uh,
Way to tease.
yeah. Just slap them in the face. Uh, is okay. I'm sitting here looking at the live chat as we speak.
Okay.
And I want to ask, we got, well, I know Daniel, your brother, he's in Florida, correct?
Correct. He's a Florida man.
And I know that Calvin is in Atlanta. And where do you have any idea where Chad is from?
Chad, I'm not quite sure. I don't
I'm
know.
not going to say his last name because I will not.
Parfait.
Parfait,
Just like the dessert.
Okay, well, I would have gotten it right. What's the odds of that? Anyway, if there is anyone that is, well, they don't even have to be in the area. I'll say anyone that can make it to New Orleans on Thursday night, as in day after tomorrow, you have a chance to witness history because that night, in a yet to be determined location, me, my esteemed co-host Alan, and Bob Rhodes, our brother from another mother, we are all going to be doing a live Under the Dome / Bayou Blitz broadcast from somewhere down there. We still trying to determine that as we speak. And we would love anybody that listens to our show, watches our show, is part of what we do. You know, we always say during the show how much our followers and our fans mean to us. We would love the opportunity to get to lay eyes on you, shake hands with you, all of that neat stuff. But if anybody has a chance to come out, it would be so awesome and means so much to us to get to meet you guys in person. And during this live broadcast, we have a huge announcement that we're going to make that changes the entire landscape for Under the Dome. And that's all I can say at this point in time. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? The Saints' consecutive string of Sundays that they did not lose has added one more. And we get to come back to work to the to find that Falcons Hate Week has officially begun.
I don't need a week. It's been going on for about 40 years now, but 41 years. But yeah, it just becomes, I guess, a focus on this week. Yeah. So
Okay, Calvin, I apologize. Calvin did say he's in Alpharetta, north of
yes,
Atlanta. Okay.
yes. But yeah, we've passed the bye. In fact, this past weekend seemed like it was, well, until Seattle came back. Basically, everyone needs to lose to make sure the Saints secure the number one seed weekend. Because if you looked across the league, I watched the Green Bay game, and Green Bay got hammered by the Chargers.
Yeah.
So they're now 7-2. Seattle was in trouble. Now we own the tiebreaker against Seattle, but Seattle
Yeah.
was in trouble most of the game with Tampa Bay, and it really took, Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson to win that game. Um, the Minnesota Vikings lost and lost not. I don't want to say badly, but they allowed the Chiefs defense to actually look halfway decent. Um, And there were a few other games going on, and of course the Patriots lost, which was even though it was not a game that was relevant really for us, it was nice to see the Patriots get knocked off from the unbeaten ranks. But for the most
People
part,
have laughed at me and ridiculed me because I've made the statement on more than one occasion during the course of this season so far that the Patriots are as vulnerable as they've been in years. And Sunday night, that played out before our eyes.
yeah, well, and you go back to Thursday night, and the 49ers did not look like an undefeated team playing against the Cardinals. Yes, they managed to win that game, but we can also point to at least two mistakes the Cardinals coaching staff made, calling a timeout when they stopped them on 4th and goal right before halftime, and near the end of the game, I felt that defense totally blew it when the 49ers were on third and 9. They picked up that first down because they just did a terrible defense, but there were opportunities for the Cardinals to win that game. And you go back and look 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago actually, the Cardinals game. No, it was 2 weeks. I'm getting way ahead of myself. 2 weeks ago, the Saints versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals were never in that game.
Yeah.
So
It,
was
it puts more and more emphasis on that showdown in the Superdome
well,
later this year.
and look who's coming up. So you've got the 49ers got to play the Ravens. They have to play the Packers, and I think that's who they play next. I had their schedule up here, and I closed that window by mistake. There's 49ers schedule. Okay, so yeah, they've got the Seahawks Monday night. That's next Monday. Then they just played the Cardinals. They get to play them again. Following that, they have the Packers. Then they play the Ravens the first weekend in December. So the Packers are the weekend before Thanksgiving. Then they play the Ravens the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Then us, and then they get to play the Falcons. But they've got 3 hard games. Seahawks, who will be trying to win the division. Um, Packers, who need to keep winning so they can win the division because the Bears aren't doing anything. We broke the Bears. But the Vikings are a challenge for them. Even though the Vikings lost last weekend, the Vikings are a challenge. Then the Ravens, who we just saw them knock off one undefeated team. It'll be interesting to see if they knock off another undefeated team because the 49ers go to Baltimore, just like the Patriots went to Baltimore. Um, then after they come back from Baltimore, they get to go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
So it's
I was sitting there watching that game, and aside from Tom Brady, at least up to this point, I mean, he's got Julian Edelman, and that's always a consistent threat. But I mean, the chemistry that is developing between Brady and Sanu, it would get them to be a lot better. But outside of that, they
well,
really don't. Outside of Tom Brady, they really don't have anything that you could consider significant on offense. They've been living on the strength of their defense. Um,
well, in many ways, um, um, Belichick has kind of turned the Patriots more into a running team. Um, he is trying to win another Super Bowl kind of like the way Parcells won his second Super Bowl with the Giants when they played the Bills. A running game, a controlled passing game, and defense, because he doesn't have the receiving weapons he used to have. At one time, it's hard to believe, in that opening weekend, they were talking about Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, you know, I just drew a blank on it. Demarius Thomas, and all three of those guys are gone. But they were talking about how deep they were at receiver. And now what they're relying on is Philip Dorsett, Sanu, and Edelman. That's really who they're going to have to rely on to win in a passing game. And we saw last night, Sunday night. I'm sorry, I'm getting my days way confused. We saw Sunday night with the Ravens. They have a hard time handling the running game. If those guys get out of the
Is it time that we go ahead and say that Lamar Jackson is everything that he was built to be?
No, put away the anointing oil. He needs another season or two. What you're seeing right now is what happens with running quarterbacks when defenses don't quite know what to expect out of him. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What happened with RG3? What happened with Vince Young? What happened with some of these other quarterbacks that came out and set the league on fire for a season or two? And
Until
then
they established game film on.
Right. And then defensive coordinators have an entire offseason to really study what these quarterbacks do. And I see a lot of people comparing him to Michael Vick and saying, he's reminds him a lot of Michael Vick, except he's got a stronger arm and he can, he's more accurate passer. What I'm seeing is when defensive coordinators start studying what are his tells, and you even heard during the broadcast, Chris Collinsworth mentioned a tell.
Reaching behind him and rubbing his.
When he rubs his hands, that's he's going to pass. When he doesn't rub his hands, he's going to run. In that towel. Well, that's the kind of things that defensive coordinators are going to like to do. With Michael Vick, I noticed, and I saw this in subsequent years, he did not like to roll out to his left. He liked to do everything to his right. So when he had pressure coming at him from his left, now, which is weird because he was a left-handed quarterback, when he had pressure coming at him from his left, he struggled with that. You came at him from his right, he took off. So that was one thing that defensive coordinators started realizing. So what did they do? They started blitzing from the side he didn't like to have pressure come at him from, and they started sacking him a lot more. Now, that being said, you look at a guy like Russell Wilson, who came out, did a lot of the same kind of things that you're seeing with Lamar Jackson, but he evolved in his gaming, the way he played. He evolved into a more consistent passer, a better passer, and he became even more dangerous because he could also run. But he's not a running quarterback. So,
I think he played a nearly flawless game.
Who's that?
And Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I do.
Very, very sharp.
I do think that's what I'm saying. I'm not putting the guy down. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a good quarterback. I'm not saying any of those things. What I am saying is, let's see what happens in subsequent years, the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
How does he evolve? If he's still doing the things he's doing now, he's not going to make it. But if he evolves and becomes a better pocket passer, and he's a pretty good pocket passer right now, much better than he was last year. becomes a better pocket passer, then I can say, okay, then we're seeing the development of the next superstar quarterback. And Calvin asked a question. Is what Lamar Jackson doing right now open the door for Jalen Hurts to be a late first round pick? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that Jalen Hurts has gone to Oklahoma, and I know they lost 2 weeks ago, but the fact that he's gone to Oklahoma and become a better quarterback and is coming from a program where you've had number one overall picks come from, whether it's Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, they've got the reputation of turning out good quarterbacks. Absolutely. I think this is opening the door for him to be a first round pick. Um, I don't know where he'll fall in the draft, but I do think it'll get teams. It's like what Chris Collinsworth attributed to John Harbaugh. It's less of looking for that ideal quarterback and more finding a guy who can quarterback your team and do some things with your offense.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you, Sean.
No. I'm trying to keep up with the live chat. I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean,
As far as Calvin's question, I believe it's very likely that what he's doing opens a real big door for Jalen Hurts. Now, I will add the caveat that, in my mind, Lamar Jackson notwithstanding, I don't think that Jalen Hurts is very suitable to make the transition to being a professional quarterback.
why not? Just out of curiosity, why don't you think
He's
so?
a running quarterback.
He what?
And he's a running quarterback.
Yeah, but he is showing more development as a passer. I'm not disagreeing with you so much as I'm saying this is not a Tim Tebow coming out. He's showing more touch as a passer. I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for the NFL, but I think what you're seeing out of him in Oklahoma playing in that system, he is showing a lot more as a passer than even what he did in Alabama.
Well, you're not going to. I think the last passing quarterback that came out of the University of Alabama was Joe Namath.
Kenny Stabler.
Wait a minute. That's right.
Stabler was after Joe Namath. I won't count Richard Tucker.
My point is, Alabama is not conducive to a pocket passer, Dan Marino, Drew Brees type quarterback. That's just not what they do.
Well, and that's what but that's kind of what Calvin's asking as far as Lamar Jackson, which maybe you don't really need a Dan Marino anymore. I mean, I still think you do.
No, you don't, because you have these, and I mean, if you have a quarterback, he does not have to be that guy. The prime example is Dak Prescott. You're not going to hand the ball to Dak and say your right arm is going to have to play this game for us. You don't have to do that. You've got to see Elliott right behind you. Okay, game managers can play in the NFL. And I hate using that term because that really and truly, in the grand scheme of things, that sells a lot of quarterbacks short when you put that title on game manager, because that gives the connotation that he's not somebody that's athletically gifted. He's just not going to get in there and screw it up.
Okay.
And it's not always the case. Dak Prescott is making a really good living right now being a game manager. And when he's gotten to be a better passer since he got into the league. But you didn't see him at Mississippi State doing what he's doing in Dallas. Like you just said about Lamar Jackson, he's developed that part of his game. He's gotten better at it since he's been on this level. Now, you give me a guy that's willing to improve on his weaknesses, he's going to have a successful future in the league.
Calvin and I were thinking along the same wavelengths. He says Dak is basically Teddy Bridgewater with a little more athleticism, running the ball, but makes a lot more mistakes. And I totally agree with that. I think Teddy and Dak have a lot in common, but Teddy's a lot more careful with the football than Dak Prescott is.
Very.
So, and this leads into our next segment. Grading positions. Let's go ahead and grade the quarterbacks then. And, you have to start with, ironically, Teddy Bridgewater more than Drew Brees, because Teddy Bridgewater has allowed you to keep up with the opportunity to get that number one overall seed in the playoffs, keep you ahead in the division that we could possibly lock up this division by, I want to make sure I did my count right. This is week 10, 11, 12, 13. By week 13, we could lock up this division because by that time, we will have played Atlanta in week 10, Tampa Bay week 11, Carolina week 12. You win those three games, you're pretty much in the driver's seat. But beating Atlanta, you pretty much locked it up. And that's Thanksgiving night. So, without Teddy Bridgewater winning those 5 games, we're not in that position,
No, not at
So,
all.
Drew Brees is Drew Brees. We saw him come back against the Cardinals looking like he had just come off the first game, like he just played the week before. He's just in midseason form. The first quarter, first half was a little rough for him, but for the most part, he just came in there looking like Drew Brees. So, I'm giving, and then of course with Taysom Hill, Taysom Hill's the jackknife, jackknife, Swiss Army knife. What he's done at quarterback, he hasn't done a whole heck of a lot at quarterback, but he's offered us stuff in the receiving core, offered us stuff in the run pass option. He's played running back, as running a college option play against the Bears. So I'm giving the quarterback position an A.
Absolutely. I have no issue whatsoever with that. Me personally, given where we started, what we managed to string together during the first half of the season, I would give it an A plus.
Yeah.
Because you were dealt what, if you considered that possibility in the preseason, the Saints losing Drew Brees was a death blow.
Yep.
And
you did.
for that positioning to step up and to do what they did, accomplish what they accomplished, I think that's nothing short of miraculous.
Absolutely. And we were saying that we hoped for 6 games we thought we were going to have him, but we hoped that the Saints at best would be 3-3. But what we have found is not only did they go 5-0, but we seem to have broken Dallas. Last night's game notwithstanding, because they were pretty bad until that black cat ran across the field. We broke the Bears. They haven't won a game since then. And they're the defending division champs. We seem to have broken Jacksonville. We really have ruined a lot of seasons. Houston Texans. I'm not a believer of the Texans because the Texans will win a game looking like they're the challenger to the Patriots. Then the next week they play somebody like the Titans, and they look like crap. They can't stop the run. They can't cover anybody. And Deshaun Watson's getting sacked 5 times. So, I don't know what to make of them. So,
well, in this league, the only way that you're going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily advance, but the only way that you're going to make it to the championship game is from consistency.
Yep.
And you don't develop or exhibit consistency in the postseason only. That's something that you begin to adapt and to show during the season.
Well, the Saints have proven me wrong. I was not happy with trading the third round pick for Teddy Bridgewater because I wanted to keep picks, but Teddy Bridgewater proved to be the right kind of insurance for this team, and he did exactly what you needed to have done in a year where we've seen more backup quarterbacks play than I think I've ever seen, at least in the past 10, 15 years. I mean, you think about how many backup quarterbacks have played so far this season from multiple games. And yeah, it was well worth it. How about running backs? How would you grade the running backs right now, Sean?
Oh, let me see. There again, you've got kind of a unique situation
Mm-hmm.
because your quote unquote main guy, starter, whatever you want to call Alvin Kamara,
Mm-hmm.
has not been there the entire time.
Yep.
So I would, again, I would say that the way that uh, Latavius Murray has stepped up his game,
Mm-hmm.
I would give him an A. Because
Well,
what you're seeing is these guys that, quote unquote, the Saints can't win without
mm-hmm.
in Drew Brees, in Alvin Kamara. You're seeing these guys succumb to injuries, and however they have to do it, be that pitch a shutout on defense, whatever it takes to keep the train rolling, you've seen it done. Now, uh, for Latavius Murray to step up from a backup with very few touches to stringing together two consecutive 100-yard games and like 3 or 4 touchdowns in 2 games, that's impressive.
I think he has 4 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns. But
Now,
yeah,
one of those was in game 1 against
right,
Houston.
okay. But here's the thing with Latavius Murray, and I'm with you. This is another position you get an A. I was worried and upset that we lost Mark Ingram because I felt that this team needed the tandem running backs. And I was worried that with Ingram gone, all Peyton was going to do was put more on Kamara. And there was a quote from Jim Haslett when he was coach of the Saints. And someone asked him one time, what happens if Juice McAllister gets hurt? And Haslett was just totally honest, brutally honest. He says, Deuce gets hurt, we're screwed. And that was my fear with Kamara. Because if all Murray was going to be was another Tim Hightower, where he gets occasional touches but wasn't going to play, then we were going to be screwed if Kamara got hurt. But what we saw was not only is Murray shown to be just as good as Mark Ingram, but that he can carry the load. And he did carry the load. So I'm hoping for this stretch run that we don't get an overdose of Kamara, but that we go back to that tandem of running backs where you see Murray getting a lot more touches than he got prior to Kamara getting hurt. And we do the smash and dash on teams, you
Yeah,
know.
I think that the way that Murray stepped up during Kamara's absence makes that a lot more feasible option for the
Mm-hmm.
Saints. Now, much like you and I have discussed at length about the defensive line, what you're seeing is options. You're seeing that you don't have to have Alvin Kamara pounding out 20 or 30 carries a game
Yeah.
for the Saints to have success on the ground. And that can only benefit the Saints because that keeps Kamara pressure for longer.
Well, Calvin is going right into where Calvin and I are on the same wavelength tonight. We're going. I'm on the same wavelength with Calvin here. He says turn Kamara into a much needed slot receiver, and I'm not saying so much make him a receiver full time, but I want that backfield where they have Kamara and Murray in the backfield together. Kamara goes into motion and moves over to the slot opposite Michael Thomas. So now you're really spreading that team out, and you may not necessarily be committing to the pass because you could hit um, Murray with it, give him a quick hit or a trap play or a draw or whatever, while Kamara drops off into pass coverage and pull the linebackers with him. I
Yeah.
mean, you're back to that kind of thing where you get matchups, and you throw in Taysom Hill in there as well. We're going to get to Taysom Hill, the receiver, in a minute, but you're throwing Taysom Hill in there as well as he can run, he can catch, and I want to see him throw a couple passes. I really do. I think him lining up with Kamara in the backfield, and instead of running the run pass option, fake it to Kamara, let them suck up like they're going to rush, and he just hits Ted Ginn deep on a deep pass. Because I promise you, they're not respecting that play at all.
All of those times when everybody was screaming at the TV saying, why are you giving it to Taysom Hill? All he's going to do is run. That is a setup.
Yep.
Sooner or later, they're going to do that in goal line situation, and he's going to lock one right over into the corner to Drew Brees.
He tried to do one to Ben Watson last year in Cincinnati. So, it's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. So let's look at the receiving core because I think we both want to give the running back core an A. Let's look at the receiving core, which is probably the black hole, the low mark on this team right now.
It is. And considering that receiving core has Michael Thomas, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I absolutely agree. Having the season that he's had prompts me to give the receiving core a B.
Mm-hmm.
But there is such a tremendous drop off from Thomas.
Yeah.
Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any receiver that's caught a touchdown pass outside of Michael Thomas.
Taysom Hill did.
No, that it's happened.
Taysom Hill has, and I believe in the first game of the season, Traquan Smith caught a touchdown pass. Yeah, it's tough right now because Ted Ginn is not the big play threat he was 2 years ago, and we're seeing that right now. He's catching some passes, he's dropping others. He's back to being a little inconsistent with his hands. Traquan Smith's been hurt. He's hardly played since the Rams game. And you got very little from the Austin Cars and, whoever else they throw out there, Lil Jordan Humphreys, those kind of players. So basically, Taysom Hill has been your third most productive receiver.
Yeah. And I read that graphic last week about all those players in the NFL that are preeminent pass catchers who he's scored more touchdowns than.
Yeah. And you're seeing him run more and more. I got to give it to Taysom. He's running actually consistent, legitimate pass routes, crossing routes, swing, things that what is he doing, and you're seeing production out of it. It's not just, he's just running out there and just finding a spot on a scramble drill because Drew's in trouble. No, he's actually running legitimate pass routes. And looking for a defensive back to run over. I've never seen somebody who thrives on contact like he does.
I think Taysom is a worker.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, you give him a task he'll move mountains to justify the faith that you put into him. And I just, he is definitely one of the biggest assets that this team has. Because as you said, whatever is necessary, he's willing to endure or to work towards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the kind of stuff you see now. And so I'm going to give the receiving core a C because the Saints were actively trying to trade for a receiver right up until the trade deadline. The big name that everybody was talking about was AJ Green, and of course the Bengals are owned by a moron who is not. I think if he didn't look so much like his dad, I'd swear he was adopted because there's no way. Like Jackie Gleason said, Paul Brown would look at Mike Brown and go, "There's no way, no way that you could come from my loins. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna punch your mama in the mouth." Because that's Mike Brown. I mean, to say my job isn't to make other teams better, that's why I'm not trading people.
Well,
That's just idiotic because draft picks make your team better.
yeah, that just it proves the ineptitude which that franchise is running. And
You're
it's
right.
really sad
Why you're the Bungles.
that someone who has been so influential in this league as Paul Brown
Hey,
and this organization is in the state that it's in.
Paul
That,
Brown. Paul Brown died in 1991. The last postseason game the Bengals have ever won was in 1990. What does that tell you?
there's definitely something missing.
There's a connection there. Okay, so we talked about receivers. What about the tight end position? We spent a lot of money on getting Jared Cook. He's missed the past 2 games because of injuries, but his last game he played against Jacksonville, we actually saw looked like some return on investment, you know. But in the meantime, Taysom Hill's been playing tight end. But in the meantime, we've seen a little bit from the other Hill, uh, Josh Hill, actually catching a couple passes and things like that. How would you grade the tight end position?
Tight end, I'll give a C because, like you said, lately, before he sat down for this injury,
Mm-hmm.
Jared Cook did not exist. And what few passes that he was targeted on, he dropped. That was disconcerting considering, like you said, the lengths that we went to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, and to compound that is the fact that there wasn't really anyone outside of Taysom Hill who I don't really, in this evaluation anyway, I don't consider to be a tight end. So that being said, what Taysom Hill has done, I don't consider in the evaluation of the tight end position.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
There was no one that stepped up their game when Cook wasn't doing it.
Exactly. There's no Latavius Murray kind of production coming out of anybody.
Yeah. Yes. That being said, the past two and a half maybe games, they've pulled it up from an F to a middle C. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm a little low. I'm a little harsher. I'm gonna say C minus, only because Cook finally appeared, then he got hurt. If he was kind of built on that, I'd probably give it a higher grade. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is for Josh Hill. Dan Arnold's back, which shows you the length, the desperation they are at tight end. And you've had Will Clapp play the blocking tight end, So, I mean, Cook needs to come back. He needs to be back this week, and he needs to produce. and that there's nothing more can be said other than that.
Well, I look at it the second half of the season. At least on the outside looking in, as well as things have gone, sometimes unexpected for the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back against Atlanta, it appears to be that we're going to have, well, we already have Brees back, but it appears that Cook will be back.
Mm-hmm.
Kamara will be back. Traquan could be back.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like everything is looking to fall into place for the Saints. I haven't heard of any significant setbacks.
Yeah, and against that secondary, Brees should light him up. He's 5 touchdowns behind Brady now, and I would personally enjoy Brees getting 5 touchdown passes against this Atlanta defense, because we're still on target to try and break Peyton Manning's record. He needed 20 touchdown passes to break it in the beginning of the season. If he gets 5, he's tied with Brady again, and Brady's on a bye this week, so now it becomes a neck and neck race to see who breaks Peyton Manning's record. So yeah, we need all those players back so Brees can start hitting people left and right and throw in. Atlanta's a perfect defense to open up the passing game against. But to do that, you need to get a good offensive line. And after a few hiccups the first couple of weeks, even into the first couple starts of Teddy Bridgewater, it looks like finally this offensive line is looking and playing at the level that we thought on paper they were capable of doing.
Absolutely. I don't know. You said offensive line. Right?
Yes, offensive line.
I thought that. I had a brain fart. I can't see any way humanly possible that this unit could have done more in the first half of the season. I really don't. With the possible exception of the Los Angeles game, which, to be totally honest, I am, even though it was a loss,
mm-hmm.
I am perfectly willing to completely throw that game out because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because you went off script, like basically at the coin toss in the Rams.
Well, I kind of equate, if you remember the 2011 Tampa game, when Sean Payton broke his leg, when Jimmy Graham rolled up into him and broke his leg, we lost that game against Tampa, and Tampa was not very good. So I look at that game a lot, the Rams game, a lot like how you're talking about with that Tampa game. You kind of went off script. Peyton had to go to the side, coach from the sidelines with a broken leg. Then he had to go in the locker room. He didn't come back out. The team was kind of discombobulated from that point on. And I think that's what you're saying is the same thing with the Rams.
Yeah. I really and truly, I don't know how the offensive line could have performed any better.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue that I really had with these guys to this point was in the initial stages of Bridgewater being in at quarterback, they were having trouble adjusting to him holding the ball, and I don't put that completely on them. The holding calls and what have you that resulted from Bridgewater holding the ball too long. And anybody that really and truly knows the game knows that what caused that. Now, that's not to say that it didn't count. It did still count.
Yeah.
But you look in particular at the 2 games for Latavius Murray. You got a backup running back
mm-hmm.
that basically no significant touch outside of 1 touchdown in the opening game, had no significant touches to that point in the season, and he accomplished something twice that Alvin Kamara did. from a backup role. Now
Yep.
that speaks volumes towards the game that your offensive line is playing.
And your scheme has become more basic with Bridgewater, much more. I don't want to say simple because it's going to make sound like a knock on Bridgewater's intelligence, and it's not the case at all. But it was simplified, so
Yes.
Bridgewater had less decision making he had to do. We're going to pound the ball at these guys. You're going to make one, maybe two reads, get rid of it. Completions are good. So, and you can't do that without a great offensive line.
Well, hey, I applaud Sean Payton because he could have been, Lord forgive me, he could have been the old Sean Payton that was so arrogant that he would have said, "We're still going to be just doing just exactly what we do."
Right.
But no, he worked around the strengths and weaknesses of what he had to work with and adapted his game plan to fit within the limitations of that.
Yep. Exactly. We're not going to run Murray in the wheel routes like we did now. Murray did run a wheel route kind of play against the Cardinals, and Brees hit him and almost scored. He got out at the one. But, when I saw that play, I'm like, that's a Kamara route right there. Kamara ran that route about 10 times against the Rams between those two games, and he scored on them. But, Murray's a little bit slower, so, he's not Alvin Kamara. But, yeah, I mean, yes, Sean Payton adapted his game plans to his personnel. I got to give, and I want to kind of speed up through the defense next, but I got to give two gold stars for outstanding performances to Eric McCoy, the center, who has more than stepped up, shown he is probably one of the best draft picks that we've had in recent, and that's saying a lot, but one of the best draft picks that we've had in recent memory. But also,
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the other guy, the other draft pick, offensive line draft pick, that's probably one of the best that we've had since at least William Roaf in the first round, and that's Ryan Ramczyk, who I'm calling the Terminator, because I don't care who the pass rusher is. They go against Ramczyk, they're erased. They basically are. So that makes the offensive line probably the highest grade on the team, uh, only to be matched with the defensive line. Another group I give an A plus to, because just like the offensive line allowing Teddy Bridgewater to be successful, if that defensive line doesn't do what it has been doing since week 2, uh, Bridgewater is not 5-0, because the largest deficit Bridgewater had to come back from is 4 points. And we have prevented a 100-yard rusher from the opposing team for 29 straight games. And that yeah. And if we weren't playing so many mobile quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, like Russell Wilson, I think Cam Jordan would have about 10 sacks right now, because he had guys in his grasp that got away from him. And a non-mobile quarterback, that's his ass. Cam Jordan's got him. It's just, and I think, Malcolm Brown is an upgrade over Tyler Davidson.
And as we discussed last week, you have Davenport coming into his own.
Yeah.
And then you've got Onyemata doing what he does. You still have Tyler Davidson in there making a contribution.
No, not Tyler Davidson. Tyler Davidson's playing on Atlanta now.
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson's who you think of. Yeah. And you got to give it to Shy Tuttle, a guy who most people didn't even have making the roster. He beats out basically Stallworth, who got a job last year as an undrafted free agent, and he's making contributions on this team, both stuffing the run and pushing the pocket. So, it's just that we have a defensive line that's that's 4 men deep. We can rotate our entire defensive line out for series in a drive. So in the fourth quarter, we're not gassed. We have guys coming in, who can rush the passer like it's the first quarter again. So it's just
it's made all the difference in the world.
Well, I look at that Dallas game, and I promise we'll go to the linebackers next. You look at that Dallas game, and the Saints kick a field goal, so it's now 12-10. We have to kick the ball to the Cowboys, who just need a field goal to win. Now, when we played the Rams in the playoffs, of course, they're able to get that field goal. Obviously, Dallas is not the Rams, but given what we saw in the Texans game, where they scored in 3 plays, 3 big chunk plays, what happened in that first down of that Dallas game? Onyemata just blows up the middle and sacks Dak Prescott. I'm starting to slur my words now. For an 8-yard loss. So now it's 2nd and 18. He can't do the chunk play. He's got to get a first down. And it totally screws up what they needed to do. And it kept them on their heels. And that's what we need to have happen, especially in the postseason, when we have to protect a 1-score lead to win the game. And I think this defensive line can do this. Oh, you okay? You still there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I lost you for a second. Now you're in an echo chamber. Are you in the bathroom?
No. I'm checking my smoke.
I got you. Sean's in the bathroom. Okay. So let's look at the linebackers. What kind of grade would you give the linebackers?
Well, there again, much like the wide receiver core, you got Demario Davis playing out of his mind, but there's really a drop off after him.
I agree up to a point. I think AJ Klein is playing some of his best football as a Saint this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with the players around him. But yeah, Kiko Alonso is not a stud middle linebacker. We are missing Alex Anzalone, but his shoulder surgery, it's his second shoulder surgery in 3 years. That's troublesome. If Davis isn't playing as well as he is, I think the linebackers are a liability, but he's playing unbelievable. So I'm going to give them a B because, like I said, Klein is playing out of his mind. The best I've ever seen him play as a Saint, and Davis makes everything work, and that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And
I think that linebacker play has been significant. I do. Because the linebackers also played a big part in the fact that we erased Ezekiel Elliott.
yes,
And who was the other running back? I'm drawing a blank. For the most part,
Leonard Fournette
didn't do a whole lot against us until late in the game.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette, they shut down pretty good.
And like I said, Demario Davis right now could easily be considered for the MVP of this team because he has absolutely played out of his mind, and he's probably putting together the best Saints linebacker season that we've seen since Jonathan Vilma was on this team.
In 2009, 2009 Vilma. Yep. Yeah, I think Calvin says if there was a position upgrade, linebacker would be it. I agree. I think they need to look for a new middle linebacker because I don't think you can count on Anzalone. I think he is a guy who is going to be someone you can rotate in, but you can't count on him for 16 games. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I mean, he's got a history with this.
Yeah, he had history in Florida.
It's just like Calvin pointed out in the live chat.
Yep.
He was hurt when he was in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and we got him. And forgive me for using this term, and I use it loosely, but we got him as damaged goods.
Well,
And
they moved him to inside, the middle linebacker from the weak side position, thinking that would probably help him better playing in a phone booth, but he hurt his shoulders again. So, yeah, I agree. That's why I'm going to give them a B. It would be an A probably if Anzalone could stay healthy, but right now it's a B just because it's all Demario Davis. Demario Davis is the Michael Thomas of the linebacking core. He really is. I mean, there's no other way to get around that. Okay.
And one more thing I'd like to say about Demario Davis is
Mm-hmm.
the way that he has incredibly stepped up as not just a player, but as a leader.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If I hate this, I must say it, but don't be mad at me. This is how I think. Okay, the Saints win the Super Bowl. Who is going to be on America's Game? Who are they going to interview? And I got three names in my head. Cam Jordan, you got to. Michael Thomas, and Demario Davis. The three people I got them interviewing for America's Game. I just cursed it, I know, but I mean that's what goes on in my head because I watch those America's Games. I watch them all.
Yeah, the last one that they did, they had Brees on. So
Yeah, Brees, Peyton, and Vilma. Yeah, Brees, Peyton, and Vilma. I have one in my head for 2011 too. But that of course didn't happen. But I had 2011 in my head. Because I had Colston, Graham, and Sproles in 2011. But yeah, Kamara is a possibility as well. I thought about him as well, Calvin, because I just there's a lot of them, a lot of personalities in this team, but you want to have good personalities to talk to, and you could have theoretically you could get Cam Jordan, Kamara, and Demario Davis as the three. That would all be good, but it would be a lot of fun to watch that. But let's not get too far ahead of myself. That's why I didn't want to mention it, but that's the kind of shit I think about sometimes.
I had someone tell me the other night, man, the Saints are going to go to the Super Bowl this year, and I've said that for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it this year. If it happens, great.
Yeah,
I'm not jumping up on that stump. I'm going to let happen what happens.
There you go. All right, secondary. Let's just do all the defensive backs, cornerbacks, and safeties, because we got one guy who has stepped up the past 2 weeks. Basically, I think taking your boy PJ Williams' job, and that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a safety, but he's been playing corner. So, how would you grade the defensive backs?
I've noticed through the course of doing these grades, I've noticed a trend with at least with the way that I'm looking at things, and you almost have to take the first half of the season and divide it between the first part and the last part, because the team is playing so much differently before the bye week than it was at the beginning of the season. The way that Lattimore has stepped up his game, the way that CJ has stepped up his game and risen to the occasion. The grade now for me would be, I'd say B.
Yeah, I'm going to give them an A minus. Marcus Williams still concerns me with some of his tackling. I think he ducks his head still too much. But Von Bell is playing outstanding. Eli Apple has picked up his play considerably. And, you're finally getting that consistency from Marshawn Lattimore. You were getting um, the player that you thought you were going to get following his Rookie of the Year season, and that's a plus. He's not just turning it on because he's facing Julio Jones or he's facing, Adam Thielen or one of the top receivers in the league. He's playing well no matter who it is, and that's what's important. But Eli Apple's not a liability, and I think again Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is playing better than PJ Williams was, although I think PJ still has a contribution to make on the team. But yeah, I'm with you. Once we got past that second game of the season, once we got into the games with Teddy, I think everyone on the defense stepped it up, especially the secondary.
Yeah, and one thing that I've seemed to have noticed, and you may can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Houston game just seemed so discombobulated. Everything was all over the page, offensively, defensively, and of course we won the game, so no complaints. But when it came to those couple of primetime games, when Lattimore became the defensive player of the year, when he stepped his game up, that caused Eli Apple to step his game up, Marcus Williams to step his game. They look so much stronger when, in the secondary at least, when Lattimore is being the player that you paid him to be.
Yeah, yeah. They can trust him to deal with a guy one-on-one again. And then that means you can drop Bell into the box. You can Marcus Williams can play the single high safety. Apple can handle his guy one-on-one. And now with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you got a guy who can handle that third receiver one-on-one, and the safety isn't there to help him. He can deal with this guy. So, I like what I'm seeing, and I want to see continued growth out of this because as the season goes on, as you get to the 49ers game, you're going to be playing a much more challenging secondary, much more challenging receiving core. The Falcons' defense is what sucks. The Falcons' offense is good. They can't block worth a shit. They can't protect anybody. But if Ryan gets time, he's going to light you up. He still has Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones to throw to, and Austin Hooper, the tight end. But if you get in a shootout with those guys, you're going to win. But the key is you've got to go beat the crap out of Matt Ryan if he's even back this week. I'm not even sure if he's back this week or not.
I doubt it.
If we have to deal with the fabulous Matt Schaub, if you got fantasy Saints defense on your fantasy team, play them because that's Mr. Pick Six. He threw like 4 or 5 consecutive pick sixes when he was with the the Houston Texans. So that's the good news. So again, our secondary playing as well as it has helped not only shut down the run, but teams aren't having much success throwing the ball against us either.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, in all fairness and honesty, that's as much a tribute to the defensive line as it is.
Absolutely, because that was the key to the Dome Patrol years. Torrey Cook, Gene Atkins, Brett Maxey, and whoever was playing the other corner, whether it's Van Jakes or Reginald Jones or what was the drug addict's name? Damn, I can't think of his name. Not Dave Waymer. The other guy, the guy who appeared and disappeared. God, I can picture him. It's on the tip of my tongue. I just cannot think of his name. But anyway, why that secondary could get away with as much as they did was because the front for the Saints in the Dome Patrol years was really, really good. And our front four is helping our linebacking core and it's helping our secondary. Last thing, and I know you got to go, but special teams. Will Lutz, Thomas Morstead, and hell, let's throw in the kick returner, Deontay Harris.
The only weak spot in my mind, I know Lutz had a bad game there where he missed like 2 field goals in one game, which I think that may have been the first time that's happened since he arrived in New Orleans. The weakest link in that chain is going to be Harris.
Yeah, I agree.
He got off to a very shaky start, and but I mean, he's had some bright moments.
The touchdown is the highlight, and he should have had another one.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to talk about a long snapper, Chad. I don't care about Wood. Most people on this team can't even name the long snapper, Zach Wood.
That's right. I'll say that I'll give them probably a B, because because of Harris, basically. I think that once Harris is a rookie, correct?
Yes.
Once he gets a little experience and he can relax and just worry about playing, I think he's going to slide into that role really well. But right now, it's shaky for him. And like you hear interviews with rookies all the time about how the game's coming at 100 miles an hour, and they're just not acclimated to that. The longer that he's played, more steady that he's got. I will give him that.
I still hold my breath.
Absolutely the best in my mind for quite a few years now. Very best punter and most consistent punter in the league, in Thomas Morstead. Lutz has ice water in his veins most of the time. To be completely honest, I think this entire team, breaking it down by positions the way we have, I think the entire team is grading out really well this season so far.
You know, I like, except for a couple of breakdowns in coverage, I generally have loved the special teams coverage. You know, they did let a couple big returns out on me, and I did not like that. They let that one big one, which I kind of attribute to JT Gray and Patrick Robertson getting hurt on basically the same play. So, you know, Cordell Patterson was able to return that punt for a touchdown, kickoff for a touchdown after the Saints scored against the Bears. You know, Calvin says Morstead an A++ all on his own, and I gotta give Ralph Marlborough credit for this joke. Some of those punts, those where Morstead was dropping the ball inside the 5 in the coffin corner, he said right now Bill Belichick is playing that punt back in slow motion to Barry White music. You know, you are my everything. Because it was a thing of beauty. It really was. My darling, I can't get enough of your love. All right, enough of that. We don't need to go into it. My daughter right now is watching. My daughter right now is like going, oh my God, my dad is singing Barry White.
But I'm impressed that she knows who Barry White is.
Hey, if you listen to my playlist, you know who Barry White is. I mean, you can't get away from Barry White. Barry White's in there. Especially my 8-track flashback. It's in there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
once again, really quickly, before we get off of here.
Yes.
We invite it. We still have the location to be determined. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. We shall let you know. We invite everyone, day after tomorrow, come and hang out with the Under the Dome guys are going to do a live Facebook live broadcast to make a very, very monumental for us announcement concerning Under the Dome. We'd love to meet you guys. And the time and the place will be posted as soon as we get together on that and make the decisions. Thank you guys so much for being a part of what we do. Without you, there is no us. We say it every week.
Right.
You can follow on iTunes and on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at 79 Saints for Mr. Alan Ulrich and at Drew's Dad 3721 for myself. You can follow us on Facebook Under the Dome Podcast. And it's time for the second half of the best season of New Orleans Saints football yet.
Hey, we got a lot of winnable games, obviously, coming up. We just saw Cam Newton get put on the shelf for the rest of the year. So that really means we just have to shut down, run CMC, Christian McCaffrey, to really handle that team. Tampa, force Jameis Winston to turn the ball over, famous Jameis turnovers. And Atlanta and their 0.0 defense, we should light them up pretty well. I'm hoping for a 7-touchdown performance because that'll tie the record for Drew Brees, but I don't think he's going to throw that many. But I'd like to get at least 5 out of him this weekend. Yes, we'll let you know more about what's going on this Thursday night down here in New Orleans, downtown, hopefully. And we'll do our live broadcast there. And then we'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, breaking down the victory of the Atlanta Falcons. In the meantime, we'll see you next week on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.